Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Kalwas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about role of mathematics and tricks. Mathematics is an integral part of our lives and its applications are all around us, from calculating our daily expenses to building the complex machines and structures. Mathematics plays a vital role. However, the fear of numbers and complexity of mathematical concepts often makes it seems difficult subject. This is where the tricks and techniques come into play. These methods simply a mathematical operation and make it easier for us to solve the complex problems. Today, we will, in this webinar, will discuss the significance of mathematics in our daily lives and explore some interesting tricks and techniques that will help us to solve the mathematical problem with ease. So let's explore into the world of mathematics and uncover the secrets to mastering this subject. So indeed, a very interesting topic, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from this session because we have an expert with us in today's this session. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Calvas for arranging such enlightenment sessions for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Calvas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, and suggestions, which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually, as well as to contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have an amazing person as guest. She's a multi-talented person with a great qualities, having a vast experience and exposure. An internationally known and recognized speaker, she's a great human being and always ready to support and contribute to the world in different positive way. So let me introduce her formally. She is from the Italy and she have been teaching mathematics in high school for 28 years after graduating 1994. She is interested in different and various projects, including the twinning the projects and along twinning between the different European schools. She is a double IU country director Italy and double IU WEC country director Italy. She is the new Nearport certified educator, verified educator on the Kahoot Academy, as well as she is the Edpuzzle coach and trainer and the Wikiland community leader, book creator, verified author. She also works a lot with the coding and gamification. She is an international speaker about education and a lot of different topics. She is specializing in the sustainable development goals of the 2030 agenda, in particularly goal 4, which is regarding the quality education, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. In addition to that, she spoke in different international conferences. Moreover, she is a global community leader for GEN, Global Education Network, brand ambassador Italy for All Lives Do Exist Global Peace Movement, advisor for the Glory Future Foundation, country director for DIAS and the Big Brains. Uh, Moreover, she write text for mathematics video on www.edu boom at Italy. She write for a website about green mathematics and maths in unique dots. Moreover, in addition to that, the playful approach to this discipline, accompanied by a passion for teaching has always been her modus operandi, plays a very serious thing, as the John Paul Richter, German writer and the pedagogist, says, as it lowers the pupils' effective flatters, eliminating their prejudice and brings them closer for studying without anxiety, with serenity, with the good disposition soul. So, last but not the least, she is a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, and above everything, a great human being. So, please help me in welcoming our guest, Prof. Melissa Esposito. Welcome to the Calvas platform, and thank you very much for joining us, Prof.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. A great presentation, and I hope to be good in my explanation about the role of mathematics and tricks. I am Esposito, and I'm a math teacher from Italy. I wanted to speak about mathematics and how it is important for me. So let's begin.
Yeah. Over to you, Prof. Thank you very much, Prof.
Okay. Let's begin. The body of knowledge and practice, known as mathematics, is derived from the contributions of thinkers throughout the ages and across the globe. It gives us a way to understand patterns, to quantify relationships, and to predict the future. Math helps us to understand the world, and we use the world to understand mathematics. The world is interconnected. Everyday math shows this connection and possibilities. The earlier young learners can put these skills to practice, the more likely we will remain an innovation society and economy. Algebra, for example, can explain how quickly water becomes contaminated and how many people in a third world country drinking that water may become sickened on a yearly basis. A study of geometry, for example, can explain the science behind architecture throughout the world. Statistics and probability can estimate death tolls from headquarters, conflicts, and other calamities around the world. It can also predict profits, how ideas spread, and how previously endangered animals might repopulate. Math is a powerful tool for global understanding and communication. Using it, students can make sense of the world and solve complex and real problems. Rethinking math in a global context offers students a twist on a typical content that makes the math itself more applicable and meaningful for students. For students to function in a global context, math content needs to help them to global competence, which is understanding different perspectives and world conditions, recognizing that issues are interconnected across the globe, as well as communicating and acting in appropriate ways. In math, this means reconsidering the typical content in atypical ways and showing students how the world consists of situations, events, and phenomena that can be sorted out using the right math tools. Any global contexts used in math should add to an understanding of the math as well as the world. To do that, teachers should stay focused on teaching good, sound, rigorous, and appropriate math content and use global examples that work. For instance, learners will find little relevance in solving a world problem in Europe using kilometers instead of miles, when instruments already convert the numbers easily. It doesn't contribute to a complex understanding of the world. So, math is often studied as a pure science, but it is typically applied to other disciplines, extending well beyond physics and engineering. For instance, studying exponential growth and decay, the rate at which things grow and die. Within the context of population growth, the spread of disease or water contamination is meaningful. It not only gives students a real-world context in which to use the math, but helps them understand global phenomena. They may hear about a disease spreading in India, for example, but can't make the connection without understanding how fast something like cholera can spread in a dense population. In fact, adding a study of growth and decay to lower level algebra may give more students a chance to study it in the global context than if it reserved for the upper level math that not all students take. In a similar vein, a study of statistics and probability is key to understanding many of the events of the world and is usually reserved for students at a higher level of math. Yet, study in high school level. But many events and phenomena are unpredictable and can only be described using statistical models. So a globally focused math program needs to consider including statistics. Probability statistics can be used to estimate death tolls from natural disasters such as earthquakes and tsunamis, the amount of aid that might be necessary to help in the aftermath, and the number of people who would be displaced. Understanding the world also means appreciating the contribution of other cultures. In algebra, students could benefit from studying number systems that are rooted in other cultures, such as the Mayan and the Babylonian system, based 20 and 60 system, respectively. They gave us elements that still work in current math systems. For example, such as the 360 degrees in a circle, and the division of the hour into 60 minutes intervals, and including this type of content can help develop an appreciation for the contributions other cultures have made to our understanding of mathematics. It's important to only include examples that are relevant to the math and help students make sense of the world. In geometry, for example, Islamic tessellations, shapes arranged in artistic pattern, might be used as a content to develop, explore, teach, and reinforce the important geometric understandings of symmetry and transformations. Students might study the different types of polygons that can be used to tessellate the plane, cover the space that can without any holes and overlapping, and even how Islamic artists approaches their art. Here, the content and the context contribute to the understanding of the others. If students are given the right content and context for a globally infused math curriculum, they'll be able to make global connections using math and create a math model that reflects the complexity of global situations and events. They'll be able to apply math strategies to solve problems and develop and explain the use of a given math concept in a global sense. And they'll be able to use the right math tool in the right situations, explain why a math model they could choose is relevant. More importantly, students will be able to use data to draw defensible conclusions and use mathematical knowledge and skills to make real-life impact. By the time a student graduates high schools, he or she should be able to use mathematical tools and procedures to explore problems and opportunities in the world and use mathematical models to make and defend conclusions and actions. The examples here are just a sampling of how it could be done and can be used to launch content-focused conversations for math teachers. These aren't meant to be separate courses of study, either, but overlapping and interrelated elements that schools will have to decide to use in ways that meet their individual needs. At the heart of any discussion on a global curriculum throughout maths, it is important to consider how the math helps students make a sense of the world, what in a student's experience enables them to use the math to make contributions to the global community, and that math content students need to solve complex problems in a complex world. Then the challenge is finding genuine, relevant, and significant examples of global or cultural contexts that enhance, deepen, and illustrate an understanding of the math. The global era will demand these skills of its citizens. The education system should provide students the wherewithal to be proficient in them. In all high school graduates are expected to demonstrate a mastery of mathematics. Students should work on skills and projects throughout their secondary education. At graduation, students should have a portfolio of work that includes evidence of global connection, use of mathematics to model situations or events in the world, explanation of how the complexity and of situations or events in the world are reflected in the model, data generated by the model to make and defend a decision, and the decision or conclusion supported by the mathematics within the context of a global community. Problem solving the application of appropriate strategies to solve problems, the use of appropriate mathematical tools, procedures, and representations to solve the problem, the review of and proof of a correct and reasonable mathematical solution given the context. Communication, the development, explanation, and justification of mathematical arguments, including concepts and procedures used. Coherently and clear communication using a correct mathematical language and visual representation. The expression of mathematical ideas using the symbols and convention of mathematics. And now I want to introduce how to mathematics that almost nobody knows, but which has very ancient origins and provides many tricks to do the calculations faster and that you might believe. Vedic mathematics. Vedic mathematics leads to rediscovering the dormant mathematical genius within you. It brings out more security and trust and is a complete mathematical system that includes education starting from elementary school up to university. I'm sure that few of you know Vedic mathematics. That is, that quickly mental calculation system based on a list of 16 sutras, aphorisms in Sanskrit, discovered in the early 19th by the Hindu mathematicians and Maharaj Bharati Krishnatirthai. His calculation strategies are decidedly creative and can be applied to a great variety of situations. Vedic mathematics is a more flexible and creative calculation tool. I often wondered where mathematics was born, and doing some research, I discovered that one of the states that contributed to the birth of this discipline is India. Thanks to its numerous discoveries, India played a fundamental role in the development of mathematics, which took place between 1000 before Christ. In fact, the first mathematical studies were carried out around 1000 before Christ. Try entering a forest and feeling the harmony of nature or listening to the sound of the sea waves. Would you ever say that this corresponds to the harmony of numbers? Mathematics can be within everyone's numbers reach because numbers are our proportions and proportions present in nature. Numbers are the basis of the development of curve of the trend of lives, climate, history. Furthermore, a part of our brain is made especially for math. It is that part that makes us understand, for example, the distance of an object from us, or how to divide an element or to know the quantities. Often, the word mathematics makes adults think of something difficult, of negative experiences. Teaching mathematics to the new generations in a flexible, fun way as a direct consequence of nature becomes a stimulating subject for children, a subject in which they are no longer the object of teaching, but the subject of learning in a logical, creative, and intuitive way. What has been discovered is that Vedic mathematics, in addition to being a neurobiologic of the brain, facilitates the calculation procedures, leading to fun and pleasure. In fact, thanks to the word formulas called the sutra, this mathematics flows into the mind in the same way our brain works. It is important to remember that the whole Western world is indebted to India for the introduction of the zero symbol. In fact, Greek culture had always had the terror of emptiness and nothingness and had never introduced a symbol to represent it. We think of the Greek and Roman numbering system and the needs to make practical calculation of the use of the abacus. The Hindu notation was introduced in Arabia in 7070 and the Europe by the Arabs in Italy by Leonardo Pisano, called Fibonacci, with his Liber Abaci in 1202, introduced the 10th symbol. Thanks to the introduction of the run to indicate zero, the modern numbering system for integers has been completed. even if the appearance of the figures was very different from the current one, the basis principles were still acquired. The Indians knew that the equation admits to roots or solutions that could be negative or irrational, and then they knew that calculation rules a plus 0 is equal a, and a minus 0 is equal 0, a, and a multiplied by 0 is equal 0. The 0 was treated like all other numbers and not as a number that represents the absence of quantity, like today. With the introduction of 10th digit, the modern integer numbering system was completed, which allows you to write any number, however large, and in any case small, without introducing new symbols. It is based on three fundamental principles: decimal base, position notation, and different symbols for each of the 10 digits. This deal brought about the revolution in arithmetic and thus appeared as something miraculous. From this mystical concept, there were a number of expressions that remained in the language and that precisely hint at something secret and mysterious. The Arabs called the zero cifr, which in Latin became zifr, hence zero. For other languages, cifr became cipher instead. That new number system, which facilitated arithmetic operations, was something mysterious, is relieved by the phrases derived from cipher, that is, in cipher, decipher, etc., which all indicate something secret. And these are all more no since, as we have seen, the Arabic numbering was hindered by the traditionalists and even prohibited by the church. It was in a council of cardinals in 1209 that the use of Arabic numbers was expressly prohibited. And even in the major heart of the traders of Calimala, Via de Firenze, in the same year issued a similar provision. But it is certain that many merchants used the new system in secret. These prohibitions helped to increase the mysteries of a number. The Indians developed excellent procedures and great technical skills, but they did not bother to justify the rules used. Their works constitute a correction of rules and problems, but they lacked a logical arrangement between the various parts. India is not only the homeland of zero and the numbers that Arabs brought out from India to Europe. In fact, between the 4th century before Christ and the 3rd century after Christ, Indian mathematicians were the first to develop research on set theories, logarithms, third-degree equations, fourth-degree equations, square root extraction, finite and infinite powers, and algorithms for the computation of irrational numbers. But what does Veda means? Mena means knowledge. Vedic mathematics is a mathematics that dates back thousands of years and is contained in the Atharva Veda. It was discovered in the last decades of the last century by Bharati Krishnatirtha Maharaja, who reconstructed the ancient Vedic method. His study was taken up by Kenneth Williams, who adapted it to the Western method. For some years, also in Italy, Anna Foligno has been teaching this method in our country, and training teachers so that adults and children and teenagers can receive concrete help to understand with ease, fun, and creativity a complete mathematical system that can be used in study and in daily life with the same ease with which the world is used. The ancient system of mathematics was discovered from the ancient Sanskrit texts known as the Vedas between 1911 and 1918 by Sri Bharati Krishnatirtha Maharaja. The Vedas are very ancient texts written between 300 before Christ and contain sections on medicine, ethics, metaphysics, psychology, architecture, music, astronomy, grammar. There are 4 Vedas. The last one, called the Atharva Veda, contains the Vedic mathematics called Ganita Sutras. Quindi una volta, per favore. Bharati Krishna was a scholar of Sanskrit, mathematics, history, and philosophy, studied these texts, and after long and careful investigation, was able to reconstruct the mathematics of the Vedas. Bharati Krishna wrote 16 volumes exposing the Vedic math system, but these were inexplicably lost, and when the loss was confirmed in 1958, he wrote an introductory volume, Vedic Mathematics, published in 1965, where it explains the new approach related to the truth of numbers of magnitude, equally applicable to all science and arts, underlining that the great and true knowledge comes from intuitions, very different from the modern method. This book was published in 1965, 5 years after his death. According to his research, all mathematics is based on 16 sutras, or word formulas, that describe how the mind naturally works, giving the students a greater help in the method. An example is the vertical and crossed sutra. Kenneth Williams discovered the book Vedic Mathematics in 1971 and developed its contents, applying the system in other areas not covered by Bharati Krishna, creating a structured and complete system that goes from elementary to university, and it is useful for life. The system not only provides surprising and general special methods previously unknown to modern mathematics, and is much more coherent and integrated. Vedic mathematics is a system of mental calculation, although it can be written. And it is the first element in the development of the combined logical creative faculties. It is that important basis for the undertaking and harmonious intellectual and learning development that is respectful of all types of intelligence. Vedic mathematics, created in India in very ancient times, was developed in harmony with our brain, and this makes it easy to learn and remember. It's ultra fast and effective method. It's amazing. In Vedic texts, there are a lot of numerical expressions. Since the Vedic texts are eminently religious character and are written by poets, one cannot expect to find there sufficient information for a systematic description of the mathematical knowledge of the time. It is only possible to identify names of whole numbers, sometimes listed in sequences, of elementary fractions, of simple geometric figures, and also to find elements on the practice of mathematics. But Vedic mathematics is based on sutras, word formulas, that direct our brain in the type of desired operation. Its characteristics ensure that Vedic mathematics attracts everyone, including artists, writers, as well as logicians. Thanks to the Vedic system taught, children come into contact with the numbers in a serene way. The Vedic mathematics learned from the parents gives a way to its use in practical life without the need of technological support. How satisfying to be able to calculate a percentage in mind in less than 5 seconds. What self-esteem to calculate the change when shopping or before the cashier without the aid of calculation. Vedic mathematics leads to rediscovering the dormant mathematical genius within you. It brings out more security and trust and is a complete mathematical system. This mathematics, which represent the origin of mathematics, becomes a valuable support, an element of motivation from the traditional mathematics. It creates mental elasticity and gives teachers new tools to make them more exciting and capture the attention of their pupils. It leads to new reasoning, to be more intuitive, and to better understand what children are usually taught. Furthermore, children with dyslexia and benefit from it. By Vedic mathematics, we mean in general the mathematics dating back to the Vedas, the sacred text of Hinduism, the source of knowledge transmitted orally throughout the sutras, which we can define as aphorisms of Indian wisdom. From some years, Vedic mathematics has been introduced in Indian schools, and the University of New Delhi has organized for some years a course of Vedic mathematics with the aim of making mathematics more attractive for students. Now it is spreading to the most prestigious American schools, presented as a flagship of their programs. In it consists of a series of calculation techniques useful for developing a greater flexibility in mathematical reasoning. Thanks to these calculation techniques, the students can more easily discover new methods of solving problems and realize that there is no single correct method. In this way, schoolwork becomes more creative, say the proponents of mathematics, and increases the interest in the work that the student has to do in the class. The techniques of Vedic mathematics range from elementary calculus levels that can also be proposed in primary schools to more refined techniques that can only be proposed to high school students or adults. The method of Vedic mathematics allows you, for example, to multiply each other 998 multiplied by 997 mentally in less than 5 seconds. They offer 16 basic sutras that can be applied in arithmetic, geometry, algebra, and numerical calculus. They contain simple methods, counting with the fingers on one hand, and complex method to calculate again without the use of calculators, square roots and logarithms, enhance logical skills, and allow you to improve your performance in mathematics. The ancient system of mathematics was discovered from the ancient Sanskrit texts, known as Vedas, between 1911 and 1918 by Sri Bharatkrishnatirathi Maharaja. The author of the book from which the conversation about Vedic mathematics is largely derived is Sri Bharatkrishnatirathi Maharaja, known as Gurudeva, a person of exceptional intelligence, given the excellent results in all disciplines he had as a student and the contributions of the high level with various international institutions given after. But very great and burning was his desire for spiritual knowledge, and so he retired to study in 1911 for 8 years advanced Vedic philosophy and to practice the highest and most vigorous yoga sadhana in the nearby forest. Having attained the deepest meditation and the highest spiritual elevation, he was admitted to the sacred order of Sannyasa, and thus began to travel to every corner of India and the world for 35 years to bring the holy spiritual teachings, not sparing even when health began to fail. He had collected his teachings in 16 volumes, and one for each sutra, but deposited in the house of one of his disciples, they went be lost. Only the first has been rewritten, which is one referred to. The hallmarks of Tirthai were an insatiable curiosity, an exceptional memory. He first obtained the baccalaureate in 1902, ranking the first, and the following year he obtained the degree of master in all the disciplines chosen, obtaining the maximum score. He was always so deeply spiritual man who practiced the yoga meditation intensely, and in 1925 he became head of a traditional Hindu monastery, Matas, in the city of Puri, in the Bay of Bengal. The Vedic mathematics that he claims to have discovered consists of 16 aphorisms or sutras that our Tirthai claims to have drawn from the Vedas, even if in the Vedas they are not found in direct form, but have been in some way deduced thanks to them, to the revelation. The Vedas are a set of sacred texts written in Sanskrit that form the basis of that heterogeneous religion movement called Hinduism. And this is a small dictionary about Veda mathematics. Sutras, aphorisms of formulas used in the Vedic mathematics. Dharma, the sum of all knowledge necessary for life well both individually as a community. See the source and container of all knowledge comprehends. Ayurveda, anatomy, physiology, hygiene, medicine, and forget physical well-being here and now. Ayurveda, military science. Ganarveda, Ved, science and art of music. Sataspi, sea, architecture, engineering, and each branch of mathematics. Vedangas, grammar, astronomy, lexicography. The Vedas are the oldest documents of the human spirit that we possess, written in a year coeval with the oldest known so far evidence of social organization, far prior to the rise of Greek civilization, antecedent to the most ancient remains discovered so far of the Assyrian Empire, probably contemporary only to the most ancient Hebrew writings and later only to the Egyptian dynasties, of which, however, very little is still known beyond simple names. However, it is difficult to give a precise dating. The Veda, according to the Hindu philosophy, represent an accessible source of knowledge, both in spiritual and material matters. Their richness comes rather than from the laborious inductive and deductive methods of traditional mathematics, from a direct gift of revelation received by yogis, and after a long journey of meditation, straight from the perfect immaculate source. In any case, any subsequent lighting must be demonstrated with a rigorous logical method. We must not confront the mysteries of the Vedas with the dreaming eyes of the poet or the seer, but with the attentive and critical eyes of the physicists. And the physicist is deliberately chosen as an emblematic representative of social scientists because just recently ancient knowledge and modern physics have found significant and suggestive correspondence and parallels. Premise. The basis premise is that the universe we live in has a basic mathematical structure, and that therefore to know a fact and obtain a result in any field, precision and application of rules is required. This can be done consciously or unconsciously, as in the case with the animals. This can be done, man has made his decisive contribution to this gift. The wise men of ancient India, having studied and meditated on physical nature and obtaining the great Vedic philosophy, they realized that the visualizations of reality takes place throughout a mysterious work of numbers and figures, and they deduced the mathematical philosophy. These are the main sutras. The first from one more than one before, the second is all from 9 and the last from 10, and the third vertically encrossed. And there are 16 sutras. For example, the 11th specific and general, the 15th the product of the sum. These are 16 aphorisms where mathematical formulas, according to Tirtai, even though they seem like esoteric or numerological formulas. Tirtai said that were rules for making calculations. For example, number 2, the one that says all from 9 and the last from 10, applies that when you have to do a subtraction in which a power 10 appears. For example, 1000 minus 653 is solved starting from the left by subtracting 6 from 9, 5 again from 9, and 3 from 10, and which result is 347. With these 16 aphorisms, Tirtai argued that the mathematics that students learn over about 15 years of study could be learned in 8 months. Since he was not only a great scholar, but also a great speaker, wherever he went, he achieved enormous success. People were amazed by his method and wondered in amazement if Vedic mathematics was mathematics or magic. To which he replied, both. It's magic until you understand it. Then it's mathematics. At the age of 82, in 1958, 2 years before his death, he went to the United States. Among the places where he spoke, he was also in the California Institute of Technology. He said he had studied and loved mathematics and metaphysics in equal measure, without any difficulty. And he went on to explain how he had drawn his famous 16 aphorisms or sutras from the Vedas, discovering what other scholars of those texts has missed. And now let's begin doing magic. I want to show you some examples about we can use Vedic mathematics to do faster calculations. For examples, For example, I want to multiply two numbers between 11 and 12, and the unit secondary 4, and then multiply by 10. To these, add the result of multiplying the two units. In our case, 13 plus 6 is 19, times 10 is 190. I add the multiplication of the units, that is 3 times 6, which is 18. I add it to 190, and I get the result, 208. And now, this trick, on the other hand, used to calculate quickly and mentally the square of a number that ends in 5. Proceed as follows. Multiply the tens digit by its next and follow the result of this multiplication by 5 squared, that is by 25. For example, in this slide, I want to calculate the square of 75. We have 7, which must be multiplied by its next, or 8. And then we write 25. And we get 5,675. 25. And instead, if I want to calculate the square of any two-digit number, how do I proceed? For example, here I show you the trick to calculate the square of 68. On the left, calculate the square of the number of units. In this case, 8 squared, which is equal to 64. I rewrite the 4 and carry over the 6. In the center, I multiply the tens digit of the units and the 2. In this case, 6 by 8 by 2, obtaining 96, which added to the 6 I had reported equals 106. I leave the 6 and carry over to the right the 10, which I add to the square of the digit of 10 6 squared, which equals 36, plus 10 equals 46. The final result is 4,624. And now, I want to show you how to calculate the product of two-digit numbers. We will move forward in this way. I want to multiply 98 by 62. So I subtract 98 and 100, and I get minus 2. And I write them in this table. Then I subtract 62 by 100, and I get minus 38. And I apply, and I write them in this table again. 98 minus 2, 62 minus 38. And I apply the third sutra, vertically and diagonally. Vertically, minus 2 times minus 38, I obtain plus 76. And diagonally, 98 minus 38, or even 62 minus 2, which equals always 60, I obtain the final result, 6,076. And here I show you the explanation which comes from algebra. In conclusion, with the Vedic mathematics, pupils progress faster. Knowing another method can be a stimulus to deepen and develop mathematical creativity. Recent studies have shown that using the creative hemisphere in mathematics is essential for harmonious development and improves intuition and emotional involvement. This speech of mine was just a small and simple taste on how fun, creative, and simple mathematics can be, and how it can be studied in a different way from the traditional one. I thank you all for listening to me, and I leave you all my contacts to continue to deepen the study of mathematics and its tricks. I point out my TikTok channel, in which I present short videos with numerous tricks to quickly carry out the calculations, both by applying Vedic mathematics and other methods. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. Superb the way you explain everything, and what a start you have given to this wonderful session by describing what is algebra and how it plays important role. Right from the beginning of the history, what a rich history mathematics has and how it plays important role from architecture to the human mind. I love the way you explain each and everything, right from the symbols, for example, the zero, how we came to know about the zero, the role of the zero, the mathematical techniques, and all these things. What a great history you have shared with us, and that speaks for itself that yes, you have almost 3 decades wonderful experience in mathematics field, so which was very visible in your content and your explanation as well, and so many things we came to know about what was the real history before and after the Christ, which was a great thing to see and to notice, because most of the time we use the different calculation, we use the different thing, but from where it originated, that was missing and we didn't know it. So thank you very much for sharing such a wonderful content and knowledge with our audience around the globe. I really enjoyed this wonderful session with you, and now some questions are waiting for your wonderful insight and explanation. Should we start with the first question, please? Yes. So the first question, Prof, is the what factors motivate students' performance in mathematics, and what factors demotivate students' performance in mathematics, and how maths anxiety among students may be minimized? Because most of the time, the teachers, the faculty, they always think that how can we motivate the students regarding mathematics, because mathematics seems to be a difficult subject. So please share your insights and some tips for our audience. Yes, please.
Yes, anxiety can be cured by creating a serene and cheerful atmosphere. We must not punish our students where they do an error, but we must encourage them always and always, and help them to understand all their errors with care and being kind and cheerful with them. They must live in a serene atmosphere, in particular.
Yes, Prof. Thank you very much for such a wonderful answer. And now we have another very interesting question that is somehow related to the misconception regarding the mathematics. So, Prof, since you have the wonderful experience of almost 3 decades in the field, what are the major misconceptions regarding the mathematics and how to overcome among the students? Yes, please.
I don't see the answer. It's
We have received it through the inbox message. Yes, Prof. Just, Prof, describe what are the common mistakes, misconception regarding the mathematics and how to overcome as teacher.
Yes, students think that mathematics is a very difficult subject because they don't understand that mathematics, you can find mathematics also in real life, and we should teach mathematics as a subject that is in real life, in everything that is in our daily life, in our mm, che devo dire? In our lives, in our ambiente, in our environment, in every subject they study. We can find mathematics in physics, in geometry, in chemistry, in every in graphics, in logarithms. So we have to study mathematics in all the subjects. And explain that is a subject that we live in everything we do. Mathematics is life for me.
Yes, that's wonderful,
Yes.
and really, that's that mathematics not involved to the one field, but it is playing a very important role in every discipline, which you have mentioned in your presentation as well, whether it is statistics, whether it is the estimation, forecasting, or whatever you call it, architecture, mathematics plays a very important role, even in the medical, the brain science, the astrology, all where the mathematics play important role. One last question, since we have the time limitation, regarding that, how can we encourage more students to develop interest in mathematics? Please share some tips with us. How can we encourage them and develop their interest towards mathematics? Yes, please.
Come posso farlo interessare? I use a lot of different tools, digital tools, to get interest for my students in mathematics. We often use a Nearpod, a platform where they can do a lot of experience about mathematics and play games, and also Kahoot, where they can keep a quiz about mathematics that I create. We create together all together a quiz, and then we answer to the quiz, the questions we created, and so we create a serene atmosphere in our classroom, an atmosphere of a game. Gamification is very important for me and for my teaching. Game-based learning. They learn a lot about throughout game-based learning because it's the most important, the most satisfying education methodology that I use with my students in my classroom. We all repeat together. We all use games to learn and to speak about mathematics. A lot of digital tools that we use to improve our knowledge about mathematics, and it's very interesting. My students are always happy when I come in my classroom, and we all the time passes fast because we enjoy. We have not anxiety or fear of mathematics.
Wonderful. You have given a wonderful example of what you do, particularly regarding your methodology, that how can you make it more interesting for our students, and they learn through the gamification, and the more they involve in the games related activities, so definitely they will develop interest in mathematics, and it would not seem a difficult subject for them. So really very wonderful session, and I must congratulate you. Have done a fantastic job by doing such a wonderful presentation and wonderful explanation. Thank you very much for such a wonderful session with us. And Prof, at the end of the session, we ask our each guest regarding their message to the world. So, what is your message to the world as a teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator? Yes, please.
Yes. Wait, I want to tell you if a speech about Nelson Mandela. He said, I want to tell you precisely, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I love Nelson Mandela and his thinking about education. We can change the world with education. We must educate all next generation, young generations,
Yes.
with our heart. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. What a great message you have given to the world, that through quality education we can change the world and we can contribute positively to the world. Not only to the community level, to the society level, but at global level, because we have the global
Yes.
citizenship, and we can change the world in a more better way by educating ourselves and upcoming generation as well. So what a wonderful message you have given to the world. So, to the
Thank
audience, that please do follow our distinguished guest speaker through her research work, and you can email her for future learning and guidance. She is very generous and always ready to help the people. Moreover, wonderful content and powerful explanation which the great speaker has already elaborated will help you to learn and develop your understanding regarding the mathematics. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you once again, Prof. Melissa, for your wonderful time and sharing a wonderful stuff with us. And I would like to thank our audience who joined us. If you have any additional question about information shared today, please email us or connect to the speaker directly. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care of